Can Michonne, the Walking Dead samurai, cut in the command zone? Let's take a look. What is up, Commander players? My name is Matt, and you're watching Top Commander. So, I recently did a video talking about a deck tech for the one and only Glenn from the Walking Dead Secret Lair. Now, all 5 of these cards are legendary creatures, which make them commanders for our format. Now, the next one up in this series is Michonne. Now, this one, on the surface, didn't look that great until I started looking into it a little bit more. So, we'll see if this commander can potentially, make a stance at a commander table. But before I get into that, if you wish to support this channel, be sure to like, share, and subscribe as always. And if you wish to support this channel directly, be sure to visit patreon.com/topcommander. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Michonne, Ruthless Survivor. Costs 3 generic, a green, and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature human warrior. When Michonne enters the battlefield, create 2 walker tokens. As long as Michelle is equipped, she must be blocked if able. Whenever Michonne and at least 2 zombies attack, she gains indestructible until end of turn. Now, this is actually a pretty decent card design in my opinion. When I first saw this card, I was not expecting it to be that great until I started digging into creating a deck for this card. When she enters the battlefield, she comes with 2 walker tokens. Now, the walker tokens in the Secret Lair are zombie tokens. So, any card that deals with zombies will work with any of these Walking Dead characters that care about walker tokens. Now, as long as she's equipped, this is the way that they design this is cool. She comes in with 2 walker tokens. Now, if you remember at the part of the show where they brought her in, she had 2 walkers strung up on chains, and she cut off the bottom jaw where they couldn't bite her, so she couldn't get infected. And she was using them to hide among other walkers because they wouldn't bother her because of the walkers near her. And then the fact that if she's equipped, because she walks around with a samurai sword, I mean, there's a lot of neat design into how they did this to try to get it close to the show. But as a commander, would she really cut it? So, she cares about zombies. You have to have at least 2 of them attacking with Michonne. And on top of that, she cares about equipment. So, how... It's kind of a fine line. You want to be able to make sure that you have enough zombies, but you want to have enough equipment in this deck to be able to utilize her. So she's not a Voltron strategy, because she forces your opponent to block her. Now, and the fact that she gains indestructible goes a long way as well. So, what are we looking for? We're not necessarily looking for the Sword of series with like Sword of Fire and Ice, Sword of Feast and Famine. Yes, you could run those in the deck, but Michonne doesn't really need those, because with her ability she gains indestructible and she forces your opponents to block her. So what kind of equipment are you looking for? Well, one, you don't want to be completely tapped out. So starting off with Cathar's Shield is a 0-cost equipment that equips for 3, but costs nothing to play it. An equipped creature gets +0/+3 and has Vigilance. This is a way that Michonne can attack without being completely tapped out, so you're not completely defenseless. Obviously, stuff like that will matter. Along with something like Sword of Vengeance. This is a 3-drop artifact equipment that costs 3 to equip. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, has First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. It's a lot of keywords. But why do we care about some of these keywords? You don't want her to be unblockable because you want her to force your opponent to block her because she gets indestructible, right? Well, you still need to be able to take care of your opponent's creatures. If you're running this against an opponent's token deck, this is just a way to mitigate how their tokens are acting on the field. It keeps them from swarming, so having trample and buffing her a little bit keeps your opponent from having an insane board so you can try to stay ahead of them. So in a way, Michonne acts as a way to take care of a few of your opponent's creatures. Make sure that they stay off the field. If your opponent runs a Hate Bear deck and doesn't want to block with it, they have no choice now. So using some of these equipment to buff her, absolutely. Giving her some sort of evasion goes a long way as well. Vigilance, First Strike, Trample, Death Touch, Lifelink. Even if you're giving her flying with any of these equipment. Because if you give her Vigilance and your opponent's running a bunch of flyers, if you can give her Reach or Flying with the Vigilance, you're good. You can still keep your opponent in check. Granted, she only gets the indestructible ability when she's attacking. You have to keep that in mind, so buffing her will be useful. But there's other ways of doing that. One, it's in black and green. So you're going to have plenty of ramp, right? Plenty of lands on the battlefield, so a card like Blackblade Reforged, 2-drop, and being that she's a legendary, you equip for 3 instead of the 7. And equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. That's one crazy buff. These are things that you have to think about. Now, Champion's Helm is a good one as well for this, because it's an equipment, and it gives her a form of protection, and buffs her. So it's a 3-drop artifact equipment, equips for 1. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, and as long as the equipped creature is legendary, it has hexproof. So giving Michonne some form of hexproof works pretty well. You could also put in something like Darksteel Plate to give her indestructible, even though because she only gets the indestructible on attack. Giving it to her permanently goes a long way. Shadow Spear, 1 mana for a legendary artifact equipment. Equip cost is 2. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. This works so well on so many levels. It also has an activated ability that you don't have to have it equipped on a creature. 1 mana, permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This works so well. A card like Basilisk Collar can go a long way in this deck as well. 1 mana for an artifact equipment. Equip cost is 2. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink. This is a way to guarantee that you're killing your opponent's creatures. Mask of Abbasin, 2 mana for an equipment, 3 to equip. Equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has hexproof. Sounds good to me. But what if we want to get a little fancy? Well, Sword of Cauldron is a 4 mana artifact. It's a legendary artifact equipment. It equips for 4. Equipped creature gets +5/+5. Whenever equipped creature deals damage to a creature, remove that creature from the game. So this is like Godsend, but gives a much bigger boost. So you can start exiling stuff that she's blocking, or that's blocking her. Now, obviously, and you can run, I would run about maybe somewhere between 10 and 15 artifact equipment just to be able to make sure that you're getting that effect on her. But what about the zombies? How much do we want to care about that? She comes in with 2 on ETB. But what about keeping that going? What I mean about this is basically a way to get a win con. If you have constant ways of getting zombies on the field every single turn, you can do some unspeakable horrors to your opponents. So playing a card like Grave Titan, 4 generic and 2 black for a 6/6 creature giant with Death Touch. When Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you get 2/2 black zombie tokens onto the battlefield. That helps getting your zombies out on the field. Now, you could also use Liliana Dreadhorn General, the Planeswalker Liliana, 4 mana, or 4 generic and 2 black for 6 loyalty Liliana. Her plus ability gives you a 2/2 zombie. Not to mention, she's just a good card because she's also a draw engine. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Her -4, each player sacks 2 creatures. -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. We're talking about ways to just completely go crazy. We're also in black and green. So we're creating zombies, we're ramping, we have the mana for all this stuff. If you run enough different types of lands, Field of the Dead can go a long way in this deck as well. Because now, every time... the way Field of the Dead works is, whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So every time you play a land after a certain point, you just get a free zombie every turn. Endless Ranks of the Dead is an enchantment, costs 2 and 2 black. At the beginning of your upkeep, put X 2/2 black zombie tokens onto the battlefield, where X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. So she comes in with 2. Well, if Endless Ranks of the Dead is on the field, because she's a 5-drop, so you play this on turn 4, play Michonne on turn 5, turn 6, hopefully you're ramping and doing this stuff a little bit sooner. Endless Ranks of the Dead triggers, you get a free zombie. You're up to 3 zombies. Okay. But now, what if you want to up that count by quite a bit? Ghoulcaller Gissa is a legendary creature. 3 and 2 black for 3/4 human wizard. It's a legendary creature. 1 black, tap and sacrifice another creature. Create X 2/2 black zombies where X is the sacrifice creature's power. So you can sacrifice 1 zombie and create 2 zombies. Or, if you, for some reason, need to sacrifice your Grave Titan, you get 6? Yeah, you would get 6 zombies from a Grave Titan. And you're in black and green, so you just reanimate Grave Titan and get 2 more zombies. Oh, now you're up to 8 zombies? Upkeep trigger, Endless Ranks of the Dead, you are now up to 12 zombies. Because you get half of that added. Swing with Grave Titan, you're now up to 14 zombies. Do you see where this is going? You're using the zombie engine to swarm the field. You don't have to run too many of the equipment. You just need an equipment on Michonne. So your whole plan is to find a way to keep zombies swarming the field, get an equipment on her, force your opponents to block her, taking care of your opponent's creatures, and swarming the field with these zombies, and that's your win con. You are now flooding the field with zombies. And if you have Blackblade or Forged on Michonne, a card like Overwhelming Stampede. All creatures you control until end of turn get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So all of your zombies get, let's say Blackblade or Forge is giving Michonne +6/+6. I'm being generous. Making Michonne a 9/9. Okay, so then all of your creatures get +9/+9 in trample. So your zombies are now 11/11 tramplers. And Michonne is now an 18/18 trampler. That, yeah, it gets gross, and you can one-shot people with that. Or if you swarm the field, you can use Triumph of the Hordes and give all of your creatures +1/+1 trample and infect. After a certain point, your zombies are going to be able to one-shot people. This is the reality of this deck. this sounds like a very fun build. Obviously, if your opponents board wipe you, it could set you back a whole lot. That's why you need to make sure that you have reliable ways to create more zombies to be able to get this engine going, or just recast your commander. She comes with 2. This is starting to sound like a really fun casual deck. Honestly, one that I wouldn't mind running myself. It's very go big or go home. It has a really good way to win the game. It's very casual. I mean, it's just a very easy way to build this deck, honestly. Which is surprising how easy this deck is to build when you look into it. Because, like I said, when I first saw the card, I was not expecting it to be that great. I thought it was very underwhelming. But looking at it more closely, and I was like just blown away by the amount of stuff that you could do with this deck. And it's so easy. The win con is there. She cares about zombies. She cares about equipment. You run a few equipment to put on her, and then you flood the board with zombies. Swing in. All of your opponent's creatures have to block her. She's indestructible, so she's safe. And then in the meantime, your zombies are swinging at your opponents for free. This deck is sounding more and more fun the more I think about it. If there's another way that people would build this instead, please let me know down in the comments below. Let me hear your thoughts. What do you think about Michonne? Hearing just this little bit, and I barely scratched the surface, because there's tons more cards in Commander that care about zombies, that care about equipment. You're in green-black, you can do all the ramping you want. You have a bunch of removal spells that you can use. Grave Pact, Dictate of Erebos, you got Assassin's Trophy, Beast Within, Abrupt Decay. There's so many different cards that you can use to remove threats on the field for pinpoint removal. This honestly sounds like an insane build. But let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Do you think Michonne is pretty powerful? Hearing just a little bit that I've discussed? Or do you think that maybe there's a different way that you would build her? If there is, let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next video.